Cast some StarCrafts. Wow, look at that raid positioning on here. That's actually just RNG that it's positioned perfectly above the minimap. I could not have actually positioned that better myself. I am such a god. Right, guys, this might be a great series, and so if it is, I'm just going to do a quick intro for YouTube as well. So hello if you're watching on YouTube. This is the WardiTV Spring Championship Playoffs. Our first matchup is TY versus soO, which we're about to dive into. If you watch it on YouTube, if this is a great series, spoilers, it's a good series. If it's on YouTube right now, do consider liking, subscribing, and commenting. You guys know what's up. Thanks so much for watching and all the support as we go into the bottom right-hand side. Starting us off here with the Red Terran player, Triumphant Sun Gaming's TY. Yes, I feel like doing epic voices today, but that was not the epic voice I was looking for. I was actually looking for this epic voice. As in the top left-hand side, our blue Zerg player is... That one has so much more of a growl to it. It's got like the epic, like the reverb's good. I just clicked the wrong button. I don't know why. I just felt like whacking the voices on for the intros today. Hey, couple of very quick shoutouts because this game's obviously kicking off with this Proxy Racks. White Linker, thank you so much for your Twitch Prime sub to start off the stream. And also thank you so much, SE2 Newbie, on the 21-month resub. I says, I really love these. Wardy Hype, Wardy Hurt, and Wardy Love. Thank you so much for the 21 months of love. I appreciate it, and welcome back as our Proxy Racks will not just be your standard Proxy Racks Marines. Nuh-uh. This is Proxy Racks Reaper here, right, as we get going. So... just setting this up, going to see a second Rax finishing and a Reaper already starting, and that will be heading up in towards the main base in the next few moments. So there's a couple of Reapers coming through, not 3 Rax, so it's not completely all in. There's something of a transition behind this. I mean, 2 Rax Reaper is generally a pressure build in TvT. In TvZ, I'd imagine you want to try... It's a very different matchup in terms of what you need to get done to be able to macro out of it, but... you should still, in essence, it should still be a pressure-focused build where you're looking to deal some early damage and transition away from that point onwards as well. So, we'll see what happens here as the first drone becomes an extractor, keeping itself safe. Second drone back into the center of the mineral line, and now a second Reaper hops up from the right-hand side up into the main base. Just going to be seeing the Reaper here doing a good job of tightening around. And it's going to be the first couple of lings going down. Now, obviously, you're going to have to make quite a few units here as soO to help defend this. But of course, you have the freedom to make some units because obviously the Terran is committed to the 2 Racks a little bit, so you can get away with making some units. This bunker, though, is a real issue because that means these Reapers have a safe haven they can just jump into, regenerate in, and that's a really crazy advantage to have. And the cost of having to break down this bunker from soO is really going to rack up to something. So that's something that's really unfortunate. It's really difficult to deal with. There's 3 Reapers there. That's the second time they've not had a drone because of the 1 health regen at the perfect timing. I mean, it's kind of impressive that soO didn't lose a drone so far because these Reapers have been really gunning for them. Right now, he'll get 1, and he will then have the Zerglings coming towards him. He'll get 2 now. The Zerglings don't have speed for a little while longer as back at home, the factory has begun. Now, there is no command center yet, so you got to remember that because this is Reapers and not Marines, your typical 2 Racks is not, it's not as transitionable as that because you're spending a lot of gas on these Reapers. You have to take double gas a little faster, etc. So the mineral income's not there to expand as quickly, but it will be there eventually, right? 2 Rax Reaper in a factory. I mean, it depends. I mean, you can start a CC now, I think, as the reactor builds, and then start to build Hellions. As actually TY is just going to pull himself a Reaper's home, just going to get these couple lings, and I guess that's it. He's just going to continue to pressure from here. Looks like he salvaged up the bunker. And soO, well, he's down a few workers. Obviously, he is already on his natural expansion compared to this command center, which is building. So, yeah, I mean, I think when you look at this, soO is in a position right now where he's pretty comfortable because, yeah, he's down a couple workers, but he will take a worker lead from here. He already has a lot of Zerglings, and as long as he doesn't do something really silly with these and, throw them up a ramp into Reaper Hellion and lose them all, it means he already has units to realistically defend in the future as well. Now, there is a timing here for TY when he has Reapers and Hellions. As you see, the Reapers dropping down on the low ground. A couple Hellions will be moving out with them, and the Zerglings from soO heading out into the center of the map. Yeah, it's kind of a funky one, right? It's a funky scenario because these Reapers and Hellions have a bit of a timing where when they strike with this medevac, they're pretty powerful. So while I'm saying soO's got the units to already be pretty safe, he does want to make sure that these are enough because with the Reapers combined, able to hit those lings up in the sky, the Hellions will do a little bit better than usual. So that's just something to watch out for. There's also this medevac to help micro a little bit as well, and behind it, a Liberator. Let's see how soO does, as right now he's coming out of a supply block, and 2 extra Queens coming in. That's some money he's not spending. Okay, he's just droning. I mean, this is a lot of Zerglings, right? So I think realistically, as long as the micro is there, you should be okay. But this is where it gets frustrating. As the Hellions get lifted into the main, the Queens are super out of position. They have to pull all the way up to this top side, and even a little bit of lack of creep here means that they're not going to be able to get to exactly where they want to be. Now, actually, TY loses one Hellion very quickly, as the rest of these Zerglings coming in for the rest of this round, and well, there go all of the Zerglings. So like I said, it's a good amount of Zerglings, but it's not necessarily everything you need. That said, the Queens come in and they will shut down the rest of this. What's nice is you got rid of mostly the Hellions here, and the Hellions are those units that can run by and kill a lot of drones quick. Now, the Reapers are quick and mobile too, but they're also more easily dealt with a few trailing reinforcements than Hellions would be. If you're running like 4 to 6 Lings in at a time against 3 or 4 Hellions here, they die. Maybe similar story to the Reapers, but the Queens catching up, etc. Yeah, it's actually kind of a funky one. I feel like I'm actually disagreeing with the point I'm trying to make. Well, alas, never mind that for the moment, because you have another wave of this right now. Roach is actually on the way from soO. Now, he was initially building a Baneling nest, but instead he decides to build Roaches. And I wonder if that has something to do with the idea of maybe looking to push across the map in the next little while and look to get a little bit of damage done. The Liberator gets 4 drones in the meanwhile, guys. I appreciate the raid thing is in the way. I'll fix that in a moment. Yeah, these few Queens on the left side just helping to defend the front, but it's the Liberator in the main that's causing a lot of issues. This Queen is struggling to get out of range and still fire. It will get there in the end, as now the Liberator will go down. So the Liberator falls. These Hellions chasing into the main base. These drones, I mean, a bunch of those already dropping, so it's a nice little drop up into the main. Switch up the direction of damage. The thing is here, soO's going all in across the map, and TY just lost basically everything. 3 Reapers do not really help you defend in this scenario. Roaches are already about to arrive, and the first bunker's only just building. Okay, you can have a siege tank, but if there's some Ravagers here and they can get in range of that tank, Corrosive Bowels are going to kill it off. And the thing is, realistically, you can get in range of this tank because you don't have to waste too much time on a bunker here, I don't think. Rest of these units coming across, look how many Ravagers there are. Nah, he's going to get rid of the front bunker, which again means eventually, when the time arrives, you're going to jump straight on top of that siege tank. You're going to see the Ravagers pressing through here. Corrosive Bowel's not quite in reach, but he should be able to get the Lings on top. He actually hits a lot of medevacs with that Corrosive Bowel. One more takes 2 down. There's a lot of Marines in the background, though, and I feel like this siege tank survived a very long time. Now, a second siege tank showing up. 15 workers have gone down, and we are going to be seeing a few mules dropping in as well. TY will be able to mule up this natural expansion and set himself up as more Lings, Roaches, and Ravagers set up from soO to come across the map and get this ready to go once again. So getting this ready to go in a moment, as we do have the few Ravagers coming along the left, and the issue is the first siege tank didn't go down. So now the second siege tank is here. With 2 siege tanks, not just 2, but 3 siege tanks, this becomes very difficult to break. You also lost a lot of the Ravagers, and you don't really reinforce with Ravagers all that much, or Roaches, so you just don't really have the firepower to take down those tanks like you once did. And that's why if you get the first one the first time around, now these Ravagers only have to focus on the next one, and it becomes a much more manageable scenario, as we do see 1 tank down. The 2 tanks wailing away here, it is way too much damage output. These Marines holding on nicely, and soO's counterattack will not work. Really nicely done by TY. I do feel soO messed up his opportunity just a little bit there. I felt like there was a couple of opportunities where he could have done just that little bit better, and he just wasn't quite able to. Right, guys, give me a quick second. I'm just going to relocate some of the... Nope. I'm just going to move the WardiTV Spring Championship logo to the top right for today. And I can move the raid thing over here. Sorry for that. I forgot about the worker kill count and the fact that I would cover it up. Now it's down here. It's not over the minimap. It shouldn't come over anything. We should be good. We should be okay. Game number 2. As we kick off into this next map, Zen. Always an interesting one. Our blue Terran player in the bottom left-hand side is TY. As we have in the upper right-hand side, it is our red Zerg player, soO. Hey, thank you so much, Roddy, for the raid. Hello, everybody, from the Roddy stream. God, Roddy just a legend lately. I feel like always hyping up the events and hyping up the games that we've got. Thank you so much, dude. And thank you for sending your viewers our way. Hope you guys are all doing well. Hope you enjoyed some more than Roddy Dam. Roddy Dam? That's my new... I'm gonna roll with it. Why not? As we get this up and we get this going. Game number 2. soO's in the top right. TY is in the lower left-hand side. TY leading this 1-0 with the defense there. in game number 1. Remember, the winner of this plays against Clem on the American server. That'll be coming up next, and that could be a little bit of TVT if TY is able to keep this up. Honestly, I like the idea of soO attacking, and I really felt like when soO first arrived, there was opportunity, and he spent some time killing the bunker because the tank was there. I don't know if he couldn't have just ran forwards to corrosive barrel down the siege tank and then worked on the bunker. I get it, you don't really want the bunker, but the tank is such a frustration. And I feel like one tank is never the issue, but when it's 2 or 3 tanks, you're never able to corrosive barrel them all down at once. You're taking multiple shots to corrosive barrel down one, and that's the problem. Whereas, if you take some shots and corrosive barrel down one tank, the next tank is then as effective as the first, and it's still so much more engageable, right? So yeah, it's one of those kind of interesting scenarios where I feel like if we rehost that and maybe get to see the tank going down, I'm not going to guarantee saying that wins soO the game, but I feel like that might have been the better choice. But again, it's really tough to say, because in fairness, the bunker is scary too, right? If you can stop the bunker getting up, you have to waste way less time than trying to work through it afterwards, right? But again, that comes at the cost of there then being 2 siege tanks to fight into, which is pretty tough as well. So soO was actually Simulacrum's map pick. This is TY's map pick, Zen, and you can understand why. Zen's a great map for taking a bunch of bases on. You actually get up to a lot of bases very easily here once you get through the early stages of this game and the shorter rush distance. And there's a lot of ledges and, you know, positions you can push on as the Terran and push into, which allow you to siege up positions of the opponent very easily, very well, and very nicely. So there's some good spots in all of this, as we do see this Reaper. And we're all going to be seeing the shots coming down. Drone very nearly dead. It doesn't quite go down as the Reaper backs away. And that was a cancel on a reactor because actually it was out of position. So that's a little bit of a shame. This was... Okay, there was a second Reaper, so it's not like the reactor was built kind of very far up here. As these fuelings will take down this engineering base, try to slow down the third hatch a little bit. There's no real good alternative for the third hatchery on this map. As you're going to see, Reaper Grenade misses that Queen. But the Reapers get out of there in an okay sort of shape anyways. Creep Tumor managed to come down, and knowing the Reapers went out the left means you can spread the creep to the right very safely. Remember, nowadays you can't cancel that Creep Tumor. It actually really means you have to make sure that you're very safe when you drop it down. Because if you push it forwards and it gets picked off, that's 25 energy early in the game when you don't have a lot of queens. And that does have a big impact of getting the creep out in front of this third base and being, you know, safer against the Hellion run-bys, etc., having the mobility on the queens, all of those little bits and pieces. So it's really, you know, very important to make sure you're protecting this creep team. And right now, these 2 queens come in to support in case Reapers come forwards. But the Reapers aren't here, and for the moment, he's taking the good opportunity to get some creep down. So you will have some good creep spread out the front of the third. Just going to be seeing the couple of Reapers coming in. First drone doesn't go down. Looks like these Reapers are going to go down to the Lings. They get surrounded. One more grenade, try and disrupt some mining, but that's going to be about it for the moment. Last starts in the main base, and we do have Cloak on the way from TY. Is he actually going to start up a Banshee? He went Viking first, but when you start up Cloak like this, it definitely feels as though you're going to go Banshee. If you're going for the Viking, you're not really expecting to have to fake anything, because you're going to go and clean up the Overlord anyways, and there's no Overlord speed. If there was, the Scat would have already been here, so seems like a pretty real commitment to the Cloak Banshees at the moment. As we have this Overlord from soO hanging out in the center. The Lair on its way up as well here, so that's still coming through and getting ready to go. As we do have, well, Queen of soO just on the way out on the third base as well. Just going to be having a couple of Evo Chambers to follow up, so obviously later Evo Chambers here, but it's not going to be too impactful because this is actually going to be 2 more factories and mech from TY. So TY going to mech it up and switch it up a little bit. And TY has been, out of all the Terrans, we have seen a few of them really kind of embracing mech again. And TY absolutely one of the players who's maybe sort of accepted it and taken it on a little bit more than others. As we do have the few Hellions from TY still hanging around the top side. A couple of melee upgrades coming in. The Baneling Nest dropping down as well, guys. Sorry, that is obviously not meant to be that size. That's because I've just repositioned it and it's derped out. Apologies. There's a couple of Queens coming around the right. Macfield Accelerator starting up as well. And just going to be seeing our Banshee on the way in production too. A couple of extra Hellions coming through at the moment. And 1-1 melee upgrades coming in on the Evolution Chambers. Our Hellions back down and around this right-hand side. So What's interesting is that TY is at the moment playing mech against someone who has no idea he's playing mech. Right? I mean, you've not really seen anything. You've seen maybe like more than 8 Hellions now, and that's somewhat of a giveaway. You know, Cloak Banshees typically can lead into bio. But what I was just saying before we had that little issue that I had to fix, what I was just saying is that TY is one of these players that really has been much more accepting of going back into mech again now. And again, very interestingly, this kind of mech style without kind of seeing the battle cruisers, which was such a big thing for a while as well. There's going to be seeing an engineering bay on the natural expansion, so setting this up. 1-1 melee upgrades, Balin speed coming through, as you do have a spy on the way as well. So soO was probably looking towards Lingbane Muta. He had a pretty quick lair, so the Spire came down pretty early. He could still make Mutalisks here, but what TY is building feels very good against Mutalisks. He's going into a bunch of Cyclones. Now, when you get to like 10 to 15 Mutalisks, you know, actually Cyclones don't do that well. But when you're on like 6 to 8 Mutalisks, which is, I mean, maybe even 9, it's still like borderline the point where these Cyclones can lock on and get really good trades. If you have like 4 to 6 Cyclones, they lock on and every one of them kills a Mutalisk, you just lost over half your Mutalisks. And the Cyclones just get away before they get taken down. So it's not an amazing scenario, as we do see the 10 extra Mutalisks on the way through. The Baneling speed going to be finishing up in the natural expansion in a moment as the rest of the Zerglings move back around over to this right-hand side. 2 more factories starting up here from TY, so really just producing or getting that production up and rolling. And in general, TY just a little ahead in supply here. Mutalisks are made. Let's see how well they can do. He has 10, he's going up to 13, so it is the numbers where I feel like they start to do okay-ish against Cyclones, but you still have to be careful, because again, all it takes is a set of Cyclone lock-ons. You don't quite get in range to fight them, and you're in a bit more trouble right away. He's going to dive in here, but he sees the Cyclones. Looks as though he does want to try and fight this, so he'll accept the lock-on, but he gets right on top, and that's the difference, because now he gets rid of 2 Cyclones right away. He gets 3 Cyclones. He's going to go for a 4th one. This is obviously because he wants to continue building Mutalisks afterwards. So this is 4 Cyclones for 5 Mutalisks. It's still pretty costly here from soO, but the good thing is he actually got rid of some Cyclones as well. So he got rid of some of the anti-air, and that gives the rest of these Mutalisks an opportunity. If you have any less Mutalisks from soO, it's exactly what I'm talking about, where then you don't really get those Cyclones. You still lose the same amount, and it's not really worthwhile. Now these Mutalisks actually have another job as well, obviously chasing around these Hyperflight Rotor Banshees. That's an upgrade you generally get when you play Banshees, because the Banshees take up the role of the kind of battle cruisers, being this air unit to support and harass. So having the Mutas out to deal with those in general is nice. At the moment, soO is going +2 Melon. He's going to commit to like Mass Lingbane against Mutas against the mech. We saw soO do this in the Team Liquid map contest tournament we ran last month, and I'm just going to be quite frank with you guys, it didn't work. Like, we saw him do it a couple of times, it just didn't work, and it was oftentimes this sort of setup where he just didn't quite know it was bio mech from the start, so he was playing against a bio, you know, playing his anti-bio setup, and then he sort of said, well, you know what, too late for me to back down now, and he just went for it. And obviously he plays it a bit differently, like he really focuses on a lot of Mutalisks. There's not a lot of ground army attacks super early in the game, so you don't need to make as much ground defense, so you can really pour everything into Mutalisks very early on. As these Hellions coming over, picking off a Zerglin already. Couple missile turrets dropping down, and all of these Mutas still in the center of the map, gathering to see what they can do next. So, Mutas coming along this left-hand side. A few extra Banelings going to be morphing in, and soO wanting to bring these Mutas out to the far left-hand side. Infestation Pit dropping down from soO at the same time in the 3rd base. So getting that up and ready to go. Couple Cyclones locking on, and already Mutalisks taking some damage. We're just going to be seeing again the rest of these setting up also. God damn it, guys. I'm having some real issues with this overlay. It's my own fault. I messed it up. Right, Mutalisks coming through, and this Banshee is going to get chased down, but I mean, now you've got missile turrets in the main, which will be picked away at. It's going to be seeing the rest of these Mutalisks coming down to the bottom side, so they're going to be chased away. Rack's going to be taking some damage as well, and a couple Banshees coming through. And the Queen will go down. Hellions wandering through and just going to be seeing the Mutalisks able to jump in on this. Zergling's coming in, and Banelings pressing forward still, so trying to go in towards the rest of these Hellions. Nice cleanup there in the end. So soO able to take a lot of that down, as we do have the hive on the way up in the main base. So that's still setting up here, as you do see a scan to watch the Banes and Mutas making their way out to the left-hand side. They're just coming in and picking off a Liberator right away. These Cyclones, a good job of locking on there as well. And still that hive on the way up from soO in the main base, so getting that ready to go. And soO, Lings, Banes, and Mutalisks trying to run into this. I mean, these are the sort of fights that he wants when he's set up in towards this now. It's a lot of Mutalisks. Is there enough anti-air from TY is going to be the question as the Mutas come flying in. I actually just don't think there is. But there's enough damage to kill the Planetary 4 as well. The Mutalisks will now go for the Planetary to try and finish off, and he gets it. He needs to get that there. He committed so many units for it. To not get it truly would have been a disaster. As right now, a couple extra libs coming out. I mean, these Mutas are low, but they're still in very good numbers to kind of fight this. He's chasing down the extra Cyclone, the Banshee. He goes through missile turrets to get out, and he loses a lot of Mutalisks, don't get me wrong. He's down now to just 12 remaining. I was going to see the rest of these Mutalisks into the center. Command center from TY coming out towards the 4th base. Another command center setting up as well. 15 more Mutalisks on the way up, plus 3 melee, plus 2 carapace, and plus 1 flyer carapace on the spire. All of this coming through as the Mutalisks make their way down to this bottom side and look for other opportunities. It kind of feels like soO is making this work. The fact resources lost is even for soO is amazing, because this is a composition from soO that can expand, sit on 88 drones, and have a ton of income to basically rebuild off of every time. And typically you do that because you're behind on resources lost, and that's what kind of keeps you in the game. In this scenario, soO is maxed out, ready to go for a massive trade once again. As it's really tough for TY because he needs enough on the ground that can fight like a good amount of Ling Bane, but he also needs to make sure he has proper anti-air against the Mutalisks, and he just wasn't quite there on that last fight, right? He didn't have enough Liberators, he didn't have enough in the skies, and he also just didn't have quite enough to stop the Banelings rolling through and doing a bunch of damage. So it got a little bit crazy as we do see the Mutalisks coming through and the command center taking some extra damage as well. Couple missile turrets going down. Liberator's going to take a bunch of hits here. And I mean, that's fine as long as there's no follow-up from TY, because now soO's Mutas, yeah, they're bruised up a little bit, but there's nothing to finish them off. TY types out GG, and soO ties this up 1-1. And there are here and there, like, there's a day, there's a couple days where I need a video, and maybe it's not the best series that goes on YouTube. But in general, my YouTube channel is the best of what happens on stream, as well as the best games I can find outside of the stream to do some YouTube-focused content with, and YouTube-only casts, etc. So, do check that out if you are looking for, like, especially, like, if you say, like, you don't get to catch everything, YouTube's a great place to go, because, yeah, not every series will be there, but every series that I personally think is worth being there is there, if you see what I'm saying. It's it really is like the highlights of the stream in a way. So, and it's only one upload a day, so it's not super spammy either. So you guys, if you are interested, check that out. youtube.com/WardiTV, and of course hit that subscribe button if you do go on over and help us out and help us push towards our goal of 20,000 YouTube subscribers this year. As in the bottom left, Red Terran player from Triumphant Song Gaming is TY. Falling apart with the mech play. It's kind of interesting because this is a map there where mech can really be a thing as well. But having it fall apart to Ling Bane makes me wonder if TY is going to go into mech again. If he does, maybe we see something like Battlecruiser mech? Like a BC opening into mech to change it up? That would be my fix a little bit. As we do have on the top right-hand side, our blue Zerg player is soO. Where do you go get your rewards from the clan boss? Oh my god. Hang on. I'll get there. I'll get there. Yeah, thanks so much for watching today, guys. Obviously, really excited for the Spring Championship preseason playoffs to start. Really excited for the main event to start as well. Again, TY, soO. All of the players in the bracket today are actually already qualified for that main tournament, and that will start to play out soon. Soon is the best thing I've got for you guys. Again, I'm trying to schedule this. There's some other things I'm trying to be careful of, etc., and to figure out and stuff, so trying to figure all of that out. As you do see the SCV, just going to go patrolling around the 3rd base, and a factory from TY dropping down right now as well. So, setting this up and getting this underway. So factory building up and getting that link speed coming through. In the early stage, is going to be seeing the reactor dropping down on the barracks, and it's obviously a little while to see what will happen exactly, but TY does not take this second gas when the factory is building, which means we will see the third CC, of course. So that's where we're going to at the moment. Again, this Reaper just hanging out, Queen or so moving forwards, a drone of soO wanting to maybe press into this as well. We do have the starport now setting up from TY, so that will begin to build as the reactor will finish up on the barracks, the factory and the starport coming in as well. And we do have this hatch building up on the third base. A couple of extra drones in production. Hatchery, again, like mentioned, dropping down. A little bit of a slowdown, but nothing too crazy here. One Zergling picked off by the Reaper early in the game. And again, we're really waiting to see. Well, again, really kind of, I mean, from TY, is it Mech or is it Bio? You know, right now it looks as though no tech lab on the barracks sort of tells me that this is going to be a tech lab on the starport and a fusion core and playing like a 3cc into battle cruiser. Or is he just going to... Is he saving up money just to build... Looks like he's just saving up money to build a Liberator with Hellions, and then the tech lab will come a little bit further down the road. Meanwhile, it's a pretty late lair coming in from soO, so yeah, he wasn't waiting for a tech lab here. But it's still no tech lab on the racks, which you've got to imagine does sort of signify the longer this tech lab doesn't come up, the later stim is, and stim doesn't necessarily need to be super quick here, but generally you just go into it anyways. I wonder if it's because soO's scout here might be mind-gamed a bit by not seeing the tech lab on the racks, right? Let's see if he builds a tech lab now. No, he's going to build a fusion core, so he does go fusion core in the end. It's just a very weird way of going into this. Wow, so it's an even later battle cruiser than usual, because typically you wouldn't build a Liberator in this scenario. You might build a Viking into like a fusion core, because you kind of have the time to go Viking tech lab and then fusion core. But the Liberator is 150 gas, so it's extremely expensive. It's extremely expensive. So that's kind of crazy as this lair finishes up from soO. The Rotoron's already on the way. And what comes out of the lair? I mean, if this is truly a prediction of Mech and he's about to drop a Spire this early in the game, he's going to be in a prime position to really shut down this BC play. The thing is, I don't think he has any reason to drop a Spire this early based on what he's seen, because, yeah, I don't know, like, I mean, Rotoron coming through, he obviously expects it to be something based around Mech. I don't think he expects it to be BC Mech because of the fact that he didn't see... Because the racks is just, I don't know. Well, he won't think it when it's the Liberator coming in, so... Like I say, it's kind of a funky build to read. It's definitely something... It's just TY doing a couple of things that don't necessarily usually add up. And then going from there as soO is rallied a little bit funkily on those... Oh, no, everything's going wrong on this extractor. Yeah, it's kind of a weird build. Like, even I'm having trouble kind of processing it and trying to figure out all the ins and outs of what every little thing means. Right now, soO just taking a lot of damage to these Hellions. He does have a Spore Crawler in the third base and one in the main. Nothing in the natural. He will drop a Spire here. Does he get a second scout? Not just yet. He has an Overseer that'll siege up on the high ground. Yeah, BC's about to pop, and there's the 2 extra factories, so it will be Mech. soO's making the right things to deal with Mech. It's just making sure you can deal with this first BC. And he does have 7 queens. They're actually pretty well gathered together. And a Spore in the natural now as well. And I think, obviously, the BC's about to teleport across. It might just walk across, because you might not want to teleport it, knowing that the Spire is going to be close to finishing, typically, if soO figured this out. And then TY, if he teleports the BC and the Spire is close to finishing, it means the BC can't get away when the Corruptors chase it down. So he is going to keep it at home for the moment, even, and play this very slow. Doesn't even wander it across the map. So like I say, very weird and different way of doing this kind of BC mech than what we usually see. I mean, the end result is going to be somewhat similar, right? It's just, again, the way you get there, he takes the scenic route. You know, via Liberator, via not really harassing much with the BCs. Now he starts to go across the map, and I find that very interesting to kind of delay and then start moving. I'm not sure if he's trying to wait for something. Like I say, a very confusing set of decisions here from TY. Definitely just a little bit off meta, but in a best of 5 like this, it's those mind games that can work wonders. As in the end here, soO's going to get a full scout. He doesn't quite see the fusion core. Now he does. I mean, the tech lab starport working anyways in the factory should tell you a little bit of what this is if you haven't already seen it. And he's actually going to start going Mutalisks. So he's going to go Mutas again, this time with Roaches. But Mutas instead of Corruptors. Obviously, Mutas don't do as well against the BCs. It's kind of funky because the BC didn't teleport, so this BC, it will get pushed back, and then the Mutas will want to go counterattack. But of course, now the BC is at home to help defend. And that's an extra bit of defense you have against the Mutalisks that wasn't here last game. So that does make a bit of a difference as this Liberator comes in and we'll get some extra kills on top of what that BC was just able to gain. That's going to make this another 9 kills. And in general, soO has been really bleeding out in that work account for a little while now. As the Liberator comes back around and sieges up onto this third base, the few Hellions backing away, Roaches and the Queen pressing forwards. The Mutas go across the map and find themselves 3 SCVs, but nothing in comparison to what TY is getting done with this Hellion and Liberator harassment. I mean, not just is this 13 workers going down, but of course it's all of the, drones that are pulling away from mineral lines, all of that lost mining which comes into this as well. This is kind of a tough read because, is soO just going to burst with Roach Ravager Mutalisks? Usually you go Roach Ravager Corruptor burst. I don't think it really works with Mutas because I think the Mutas die too quickly to really make sure they finish off the BCs. The Corruptors are very tanky, so they can get in there, fight the BCs, and really make sure that those BCs are killed off before you get into the next stage of all of this. It's a little tough with these BCs coming forwards. Mutalisks will have to back away into the center. And gain a couple extra missile turrets building up here at the moment. Siege tank from TY getting ready to go. A couple of libs still setting up. The BCs around. A couple of extra Vikings from TY in the main base. So still setting up towards that. I mean, 15 more meters. So soO really is just going for like heavy Mutalisk play once again. There's 2 Cyclones, 2 Liberators, and 2 BCs currently on the map with a couple of Vikings being added on. Obviously, these BCs have to be super careful and make sure they teleport away at the right kind of time here. There's Roaches at the front, deflect a few of the Hellions. There's no way the Roaches run into these 4 bases. The tank coverage is way too good. Unless the Mutas just come through and snipe down the tanks. BCs aren't there to help defense. The amount of anti-air is limited. Cyclone's trying to bait some attacks forwards. I mean, there's a few missile turrets around. BCs across the map might force a response from soO. Let's see, because one of his queens already in trouble. The Mutalisks are pulling back up the top. It really feels like soO's preparing to just dive on the base, but hasn't gone for it just yet. Here we go. The Mutas are going to start making their play, and they're going to find themselves a siege tank they can kill off here right away. A couple missile turrets, they'll go down pretty quickly. Now the BCs are going to teleport back. That means they can't teleport away from the Mutalisks if the Mutalisks get on top of them. He's going to find the natural here, which doesn't have the other turrets finished up just yet, so you'll start to get some SCV kills as well. And this is the trouble that TY faced in the last game, that these Mutas became such an issue, and right now they're picking up supply depots. They are taking anything they can get, and that's a bunch of supply depots going down, and TY is actually above 200 supply on supply depots, but now he's actually got a little bit extra, as we do see Roaches in the center as well, going to sit on this watchtower. A hatchery to the upper left-hand side, and still going to be seeing Hellion Cyclone Battlecruiser back around through the south. Just relocating, trying to make sure you're in position to deal with this. The Liberators get a big shot off. The Liberator shots are always going to be good because of the splash damage. Even if there's just 1 or 2 of them, it really helps. 14 more Mutas were just on the production tab, by the way. soO is trying to play pure Mutalisk against TY's army here, which is just crazy. And it's just going to be seeing the Hive on the way up in the main base. Two Mutas going down right away, able to get a few of those nice and quickly. I mean, getting rid of the turrets. Again, it creates opportunities for the next stage of this, right? It creates an opening, and obviously TY just have to rebuild them. It creates a threat now where this army has to stay here because otherwise this base is completely undefended. There's not missile turrets to buy time anymore if those Mutas re-enter that position. So it means you're kind of a bit more focused to the left, and then, you know, maybe you can swing around and hit a different base. Looks as though the defense will be up in time for him to relocate. The Mutas wanted to take a moment or two as well, get some regeneration, get those hit points back up so that they're a little bit healthier. He's coming in here. So the Cyclone lock-on's still the issue, really, right? He's going to turn around and try and get a few of them. He'll get 2 Cyclones just like that. It allows for another couple of lock-ons coming into place. Mutas escaping away, extra Cyclones coming up, and just going to be seeing them coming around this bottom side. Missile turrets continuing to go down. I really do like that TY this game has a better Liberator count, and he's been able to get this Liberator count up to a sufficient number that really is scary. This isn't just a couple Mutas which do good damage, you know, hurting the Mutas a bit. No, this is like a ton of Mutalisks, a ton of Liberators that will kill Mutalisks if they fight them. So it's getting to that point now where there is more of an answer to this from TY than there was previously. And soO will have to be a little bit more careful. That doesn't stop him darting in and out. It just means he has to avoid the Liberators which will create more issue for soO than what he's had in the previous attempts with these Mutalisks. Two BCs coming up to the top left-hand side. The Mutalisk back in towards the natural will go towards this armory. It's going to get picked off as well. So that's both the armories denied in the last few moments. Playing dangerous games as those Liberators, it feels like they get so much closer to those Mutas every single time. But of course, soO is taking this opportunity to just expand all over the map. The entire top side of the map is his, all 6, 7 bases of them. Now he's going to take base 8 as well. So soO is already taking every base on the map that he is meant to own in this entire game at the 13-minute marker. Now, obviously, there's plenty of time for those bases to be denied and for them to be stopped, halted from mining, etc. But as it stands, soO is not just expanding quickly, he's also trading more efficiently. 7.2, 7.4 to 8.1k resources lost. Again, typically against mech, you're expecting to trade worse. The fact he's trading evenly while getting these bases is insane. Now, it does get to a point where at some point, if these Mutas die off in a larger fight, that's where the resources lost is likely to come more into favor of TY, because those Mutas are probably not going to be able to get the value of themselves back if they take a straight-up fight. But that's why, they're here right now. These BCs are on cooldown, by the way. They cannot teleport away. It's good night to these battle cruisers. They'll take down a Mutalisk or 2 with the Yamatos, and maybe 1 more with their auto attack. But to lose the 2 BCs takes away some of the harassment that has been continuous and effective throughout this game. The Mutalisk clump up. Oh my god, it hits a single Muta on the left side in the end. First shot was amazing. The second shot, there was a split from soO. 1 Muta flew to the left side, and that was the 1 Mutalisk that got hit by all of the Liberators, and that saves so many Mutalisks right there. That can't have been intentional from soO. Like, yes, he was trying to split a little bit, but to have that 1 Muta be the one that splits away to the side, that's just insane. Like, that's got to be some sort of fortune, right? There's no way he knew that Muta was going to be the target. Works perfectly, though. I mean, crazy as we see anabolic synthesis. So keeping up with this idea of a very mobile army, a very, very simple setup basically from soO, which is, as these banes come through, by the way, let's watch this kind of a very simple setup from soO, which is just, I want to run around the map and I want to cause chaos, and Ultras are the unit that really helps me keep on doing that. So that's going to be his plan, apparently. The thing is, I feel like Ultras against this many Cyclones is a death sentence, because Cyclones do have amazing lock-on potential against Ultras. They lock on, they kite away, and I'm not convinced about the Ultras. What might work with the Ultras that maybe soO is aiming for is, again, this idea of just running around the map. They're going to be very mobile, so they can avoid this Cyclone army and get damage in one direction, and then maybe damage in another direction when the Cyclones peel around to deal with them. That's how I think these Ultras are going to be effective. They're not going to be effective in a straight-up fight. That's just a matter of fact, because if these Ultras go running into those Cyclones, there's going to be trouble. That said, maybe if the Ultras are taking the lock-ons, maybe it opens opportunities for these Mutalisks to get the kills. And that's something that might be kind of a reasoning as well. I mean, it's, again, not every day you see this kind of a composition fighting mech. So there's a lot of figuring out for us to do here as we watch it, to try and, again, figure out all of these ins and outs. Game 3 of this best of 5, first match of the day in the WardiTV Spring Championship preseason playoffs. And what a series this has turned out to be. 16 minutes in here on Eternal Empire. A few extra Thors on the way up. Orbital commands are building. A couple more missile turrets coming through. And we are going to be seeing Mutalisks joining up with Ultras, Vipers, and Infestors out in the center. The Banes as well. Cyclones will come through and pick off this hatchery. So hatchery will go down. And here we go. We're just going to go flying forwards here. The Ultras coming into this. These Liberators are going into... these Mutalisks are trying to get rid of the Libs, but they're taking a lot of damage. You can see that soO's supply just collapses. Now, that's obviously a horrific trade for soO, and yet he's only down 2,500 resources. This is where his massive bank comes into play, and he decides to go for 13 Corruptors to start. He does have lava, right? Yes, he's got 35 lava. 6 more Ultras, 34 more Zerglings. This is the headbutting time, right? Where you're really hoping to rebuild, maybe go once more, rebuild once more, and then hopefully win the game. Because TY's bank is not building up as quickly as soO's is. And that's just because he's had less workers all game long. soO has consistently had this income lead while trading well, So here we go. Neural Parasite on the way too. Some extra options to fight. See, I want to believe in soO's idea, but I've just seen it too many times where these units just throw themselves at the mech army, they die, they throw themselves again, they die, and it's like, well, here's my final throw, and they throw themselves one more time, and they also die. It's just like the Terran player's like, cool. I spent like 400 minerals rebuilding a couple missile turrets that you killed. soO does still have a large bank, so it's definitely not worrisome territory yet. But you've got to, I mean, I get the idea, but you've still got to worry about it a little bit. That's a beautiful blinding cloud, though. The Thor's not able to shoot there initially. Now the Corruptor's coming through. They will get these Liberators very quickly, and the Thors are being picked away at by the Ultras. The overall fight is still, I think, good, though, for TY. As he comes out of this 168 supply against a remaxing 170. Of course, he is rebuilding as well. What's the resources lost? That'll tell us mostly, because it was 2,500 before. Now it's 2,000. So it's a really good indicator of how much went down in this fight. And actually, soO traded a little tiny bit better than TY there. So that's if this continues, this is where TY should run out of money and shouldn't be able to rebuild again and again like soO is doing. But of course, soO's composition is also kind of staying the same, whereas TY's, I feel, is now becoming more apt to deal with the Ultras, etc. Thors are obviously great against the Corruptors too. There's less Liberators on the map because of how many Corruptors are being built and the fact that they are able to get those kills on the Liberators so easily. And as we do have the Liberators setting up, we're going to see the rest of this coming through. The couple of Ultras wanting to push forwards into the rest of this right now. Corruptors taking some damage. Ultra's going to come running in. Thor's already taken some hits, and we do have Hellbats in some trouble. Banes continue to roll on into this, and again, the Thors are going down. The Siege Tanks are in some trouble too. I mean, this is going to be a full cleanup here, it seems, from soO. This is a fight where he actually wins quite convincingly. I mean, the last couple of Ultras now may start going down as they push a bit more kind of haphazardly up this ramp. But even then, they're getting in range of this Thor. They're going to get on top of the tank. They're going to make it through. And well, TY now, this is the point where he doesn't have rebuild potential. He doesn't have the money to get back into this game. 20 minutes in, and soO has somewhat eventually broken him down. He's been able to take the entirety of the map and just take such an eco advantage that in the end, yeah, this was a bad trade for soO. But he's, you know, who's the one with the money? Who's the one that can rebuild? You know, it begins with S and it ends in O. It's got an O in the middle too. It's soO. Like, TY doesn't have the ways to keep fighting these armies, even if he's trading well. And it's just because of what soO was able to do with those mutalisks, you know, 10 minutes ago. Taking every base on his side, slowing down the income of TY, getting some workers here and there. Now we have Infestors burrowed up, ready to neural, but I don't even know if they are necessary. I mean, don't get me wrong, a neural here or there might still be nice to help, but I think just another round of Ultras running forwards probably has this, you know, this game's wrapped up basically. Now, the Corruptors can obviously pick off that. You're going to find Liberators flying over, so not even Siege Liberators. And there's the first few Ultras already going up this ramp and going to start chasing down Siege Tanks. There is a lot of Siege Tanks along this top side, so there's a lot to work with, but obviously soO's just like, well, if you're defending up there, I can just go and clean out everything over in this direction. Orbitals have to lift. There's a couple planetary fortresses that soO can work through, but those go down very quickly when there's no repairs. I mean, even very quickly if you throw Banelings at them as well. Crypto's going to back away. Those couple lives still safe, and an Infestor gets caught. soO still with money in the bank, 52 lava as well. He can rebuild whatever he would like to. Rest of these Hellions down to the bottom side. Another Siege Tank or so from TY setting themselves up again. All of this moving around the south. And a few Creep Tumors from soO pressing forward. So they're going to be coming along the right-hand side here. A few Ultras going down the ramp with these Corruptors. Tanks, Liberators, Hellions, all of this setting up. There's a couple of tanks sieging up there, and the orbital is going to be blocked from landing for a few moments. soO coming back up the top side. Ultras will come back down, and we'll be able to go around here, see where they can get to. Corruptor's already coming in. We're going to be seeing already one Liberator going down. Now the other's being picked away at, so Corruptors continue to chase forwards into this. These Ultras coming straight through, and again, it's just a, you know, it's just a let's trade, whatever, I don't care how much you kill scenario here from soO, and he will lose these Ultralisks, but again, he takes down a significant amount, and that's units which, again, TY will never rebuild into in this game. TY will immediately launch a counterattack as soO now has one of TY's bases on this 9 o'clock position. If you have any hopes of coming back, you cannot let soO mine from this base. You can't give him, you know, bases over you in this series, in this game. Going to be seeing the rest of this from TY continue to come forwards. Drones swimming back here. I mean, again, losing this space. The fact that soO can just retake this space, though, right? It just sort of says what TY's position in the game is. TY, who is doing a good job stretching out and keeping these bases alive as well. Maybe soO could have done a better job striking down this bottom right-hand base, but again, the issue comes if soO can take this base. Not only is that a base you don't have as TY, it's an extra base soO has over you. This resource loss have evened up as well. Again, when you've just got this many units of soO crashing into the Terran again and again, eventually it works out. Now Broodlords are being made because there's no Thors on the map, and there's been a lot of preparations for Ultras, etc., which involve a lot of siege tanks. Now we see 4 Thors and 4 Vikings being produced, but by then the Broodlords already are going to have had their way and done a lot of damage here. And with the Ultras around, I actually don't think the Thors being built are that scary, because I actually truly believe there's going to be some good coverage from the Ultras to push those Thors back and to help the Broodlords get the kills on them. TY is closing in on maxing out once again, so he is somewhat just about hanging in here. He's going to make a play to get rid of this 9 o'clock base at the same time. Again, that seems like somewhat of a necessity, as these Broodlings still dropping down. Orbital has to lift. Planetary Fortress taking some heavy damage. Again, this base going down as well. It's another base TY will no longer mine from. The one benefit here, he's already had the gas from this base at least, so that is one slight thing you can look at and be like, well, that's you know, it's something, right? It's something. Tons more Broodlords coming down to this bottom right-hand side already. A missile turret falls. Planetary Fortress going to be in some instant trouble here now, as TY just has to try and pull SCVs to fight. The Thors on Vikings are on their way over. The Queens are trailing just a little bit behind. Ultras look like they want to fight up this left-hand side. In the meanwhile, I mean, SCVs are dropping as well. These Ultras having a good time. Like I say, if these Cyclones get locked on, they do okay, and running into the siege tanks isn't pretty. That said, this is also not quite over yet, as you do have all of these units set up together. What's going on, man? A couple of Hellions and Cyclones coming through, and we do have a couple of those Ultras being picked off. Or Vikings coming across this left-hand side, and the Broods are still marching forwards, by the way. I mean, I just don't know what there is to stop this march of the Broodlords. 4 Thors don't really do it. I mean, maybe the Vikings, but then there's a Viper, there's Infestors. Like, there is answers to the units here that would naturally deal with the Broodlords, whether it's through, through neural parasites. If you can neural the Thors, for example, and then they help against the Vikings, that's a fight you never lose to soO. I think we're just waiting out for how, to see how exactly this game is going to end. Vikings wanting to set themselves up, a few Ultras pulling back, Corruptors coming forwards. The Broodlords want to come in, and we do have our Queens of soO sitting around the front here. Army of TY continues up the left-hand side, and here we go. Our Broodlords pressing forwards. Siege tank shots already firing onto the Ultras across the way, and there's the initial parasitic bomb, which is going to get picked away at, so that doesn't do much. There's not that many Cryptids here. I mean, this is the sort of fight you need as TY, where you're staying away from those Infestors and their Fungals and their Neurals. And the TY is essentially turtling up on this left-hand side base, but that gives this bottom right-hand base to soO, which means, again, some extra mining he can work with here. I just don't think there's a way to... Like, usually we see Broodlords not really being that effective nowadays because of... Wow, what a dodge that was from the Fungal. We see Vikings not being... Broodlords not being that effective because of Thors, but when you've drained TY down like this, and then you can build the Broodlords, because there's never going to be enough Thors to be that kind of scary, terrifying number where they just delete Broodlords as though they never existed. Thors usually against Broodlords nowadays, like Thanos, they snap their fingers and the Broodlords disappear. And yet, here we are in a world where this many Broodlords it's just too many. It's just too powerful. There's what, 4 Thors here? The Vikings are the biggest threat, and reality is soO just needs to trade out some units and build some extra Corruptors. The moment he does that, he's going to be able to shut down all these Vikings, no issue at all. Let's do Flyer Carapace coming up on the Greater Spire as well, so continue with some more of these upgrades. As we do have our army trying to press forwards. Here come the Broodlings starting to drop down. A couple of siege tanks already being picked away at. Broodlings going a little bit crazy here, getting into the action. We see a parasitic bomb hitting the Viking, which splits away again. This really was just a wait for some extra Corruptors to fight this. And, I mean, soO has money behind this as well. He can just reinforce the circles at this point. He's starting to get the neural parasites to help out as well. The Vikings are winning the air fight, but there's transfusions available. There's a neural Thor. I mean, there's also fungal growths, which are now finally going to land, and there is the GG from TY. as we trickle over the 28-minute marker for soO to take the lead in this series, up 2-1 in the best of 5 now in this playoff match. Well, this is definitely considered a Terran map, so if there was a time for TY to make a return in the series, this would probably be it. As in the top side, 12 o'clock position, our red Zerg player, it is soO. And in the 3 o'clock position, our blue Terran player is TY. As we set this up and get this underway. Overlord moving out down into the center of the map. Rax dropping down from TY, getting this ready to go. And the refinery setting up as well. So a couple of moments and looking to see what's going to be happening here. Hatch, gas, and pool. Let me just have a moment or so after that last game. You know what? I didn't get myself any water to start this stream because I was having a nice little cup of tea to get my voice all nice and, you know, fixed up and give my throat a little bit of relaxed time. Oh, yeah. Should have got myself some water. As you do see the Overlord coming across over the left side here, SCV from TY will be making its way out up towards the top, try and see what's going on, of course. A little scout through in towards the natural and towards the main base. Couple extra queens coming out, and yeah, just the SCV scout will turn into an SCV blocking the third hatchery. It's one of these maps where, again, you have got this scenario where there's no real good alternative third base. If you take this base here, you're obviously very close to the Terran player, and pushing through this side, you know, through the center of the map into this base obviously becomes quite an issue, right? So that's definitely something to watch out for here, as we do have a creeper grenade dropping down. Drone gets bopped. A couple extra queens again going to be finishing up as our Zergling speed on the spawning pool. But yeah, definitely a scenario, I think, where if you block that third base, it really actually forces soO to basically just kind of tack up into the lair a bit faster and take his gases a bit sooner, rather than taking the third base elsewhere. Because really, if you just expand here, like, it's really rough. It's really tough. Like, you just... It's not easy. He actually doesn't go for the engineering bay. He will just make the Zerglings kind of push him away from it. So, third hatchery will come down. In a way, maybe TUI also says, I actually don't want to deal with you having to go, like, quick lair. So, I just want to slow it down a little bit, but not, like, force you into a faster lair, because maybe as far as I'm concerned, I'm kind of sick of you building Mutalisks. So, there's a couple ways to look at it. As this time, a Tech Lab on the racks, and this is more immediately an obvious setup for Cloak Banshees, or just, you know, fast impact into something else. In fact, it's not fast impact. You don't go test impact that quickly. No, really? Viking into stem? Okay. Maybe I should have stood by what I said. This is more of like a 3cc setup. Usually you go 3cc and then into this. But yeah, it's just straight up in towards bio, not really messing around at all for TY. Yeah, a couple of Hellions and the Vikings. So yeah, straight into stim, straight into bio. Hey, what's up, Danom? Thank you so much for the Twitch Prime sub, and whoever just downloaded Raid Shadow Legends, thank you so much as well. Sorry, I missed your name. Just a couple of Hellions poking around in the upper left-hand side then, and going to be dealing some damage to this hatchery. So hatchery taking a little bit of damage. The lair in the main is continuing along as well. A few extra drones on the way up. The queen coming through. And just going to be seeing our Baneling Nest dropping down in the front here from soO. So getting that Baneling Nest up and running. We'll see another Overlord coming out into the center of the map. Couple of extra barracks dropping down from TY. Tech Lab on the factory as well. So a little bit of an extra build-up here as we do see our engineering bay also dropping down from TY in the back of this main base. Again, that engineering bay down as the Viking shoots down an Overlord. So Overlord will be shot down. Again, Lair about to finish up from soO, and just going to be seeing these few Zerglings of soO gathering up in the main base. So all of those joining up together in these early stages. With the Baneling Nest coming down nice and quick, making sure he's very safe against a lot of potential attacks. He actually doesn't have great vision, so he hasn't seen anything. So very difficult for soO to kind of make a good call as to what to do here. And he is, again, lair already done, so it is going to just be a fast Baneling speed, and then into upgrades a little bit later on. This does typically give TY a bit of a better timing on upgrades. However, this isn't single engineering bait of 3 racks now. No third CC. So TY's game plan right now is to be extremely aggressive. There is no setup to go third base. There's no setup to kind of build into the rest of this, as that's high ground for the Overseer. Now, Marines just want to make sure that doesn't escape away, but he should be able to kill this off. A Viking's on the way back over, so he will get this. Yeah, for soO, I really feel like this Bane speed early is definitely one of the better setups against this, because it's one of those scenarios where Baneling speed is going to be so good to clean out this continued pressure. Whereas upgrades are the kind of thing where it's like, they help, but it's kind of more of a numbers game, and the Banelings and speed helps out with that so much more than trying to wait out for 1-1 upgrades, etc., and, you know, what they do, especially when it's, you know, Lings running in towards Marines, and those Marines just kind of shred anyways. So we'll see what TY's follow-up as well, because this isn't 5 racks, so it's not completely like, oh my god, never going to take a third CC. There's definitely some sort of, you know, you can build a third CC behind this if you'd really like to. Let's see how it goes. A few Banelings already on the way in. Again, Baneling speed will be ready for this attack. Benefits of the build from TY here. And, well, TY just, of soO here. And TY just going to take a moment or two to siege up kind of off creep. And he actually gets rid of 1 queen already, which had energy on it. So a slight mistake there. This creep clearance is good. We'll push it back a bit. And tanks will get into a really good position where they can cover a lot of the natural expansion. Even, I believe, hit the Baneling nest. So you can hit the Bane nest now. This kind of forces soO to fight quickly, but his Banes are stuck behind his siege tanks, or behind his queens, sorry. The siege tanks aren't hit by Zerglings. The Hellions and the Viking deal a lot of tankiness in this army as well. There goes the Baneling nest, so the couple of Banes that finish are the only ones in the game right now. And those siege tanks being saved by the Marines is really nice, because now these tanks will just continue to fight. The last Banelings go down, and now it's Marines versus Queens and Lings that don't have any upgrades at all. This is where the +1 Marines really will shine, and they are killing everything that runs in towards them. This is the dream scenario, killing off the Baneling nest here especially, and it looks like TY is going to take this to a game number 5 in our very first series of the day. A couple extra Zerglings going down, and there it is, GG from soO, and TY ties this up. Let's jump in and see what's going to happen. As in the bottom right-hand side, our blue Terran player, this is TY. Taking on the red Zerg in the top left-hand side, we do have ourselves soO. Game 5 of the series as they get this ready to roll. What a first series of the day. I told you guys it's going to be a hell of a warm-up, and well, what a warm-up it has been. Coming down a Nightshade for map 5, the sort of map where TY is obviously not likely to play the same way he did in the last game, 2 base in it, but it's the sort of game where that similar idea of pushing very aggressively with Marines and tanks comes into play a lot of the time on 3 bases. You see that quite frequently, in fact. So, as we set this up, a couple of racks dropping down the front. So this is going to be a 3 racks Reaper opening from TY. He's really coming in with a whole bunch of different build orders in this series so far, so really showing up and do something a little bit funky. And there's a couple of racks coming through at the front. Then again, the refinery from TY into the main base. And just going to be seeing the spawning pool dropping down from soO in the main as well. So that's going to be a hatch gas spawning pool setup. All of that getting up and ready to go. As the first Reaper here from TY going to be heading across to the upper side of the map. So it's just going to be 2 racks Reaper pressure from back at home. Interesting. Usually, if you go racks at home and you go Reapers, you go 3 racks, and you go racks 1 and 2, and then when the first racks finishes, that's the SUV you actually use to build the third racks. But obviously not the case here. It will just be 2 racks Reaper. And you just see those couple of Reapers coming out towards the upper left-hand side, so going to be moving across. First Reaper already on the way, and again, 2 more Reapers coming in behind this as well. There's again a couple of Queens coming up, the extra Zerglings coming out. Looking pretty good so far, as we do have our SCV from TY dropping down into the main base, so continuing the work of production here. You don't have to cut or anything crazy like that. I know that's kind of a really bad casting thing to say. I'm just trying to fill some time. As the Reaper arrives, let's see what the damage it will be. Obviously, right now, soO, I think he saw second Reaper, and if he was playing maybe he didn't. I think he did. And if you see that second Reaper at this time, you should have an idea that this is multi-racks Reaper. But it's the extra Reapers beyond this. Like this one now, if he's paying attention, absolutely tells him what's up. We'll see if he continues to build drones, because if he does keep building drones, it really says that he's not quite aware of what he's playing against. Adds a couple lings now. He places a very far back creep tumor, by the way, so he gets that down, but it's really, really quite far back here. Now, the Reapers typically would love to try and slow down this third, but that's already there, and with only 2 racks Reaper, you might not have the numbers to really make that happen. So that's something you can't necessarily guarantee at the moment, as we do have the few Reapers at the front pressing forwards. The Queen already taking some extra damage. It's going to be a bop, and the Queen gets sent up into the sky. Just going to be seeing the rest of these Reapers pulling back a moment or so. Good pull back on the most damaged Reaper, of course. Well, Link Speed's about to be done, and the pressure from TY, I think, is getting to that point where he's not really interested in sticking around against Link Speed. This was actually really nice from soO. Obviously, for TY, it's, you know, a later CC, but this time soO never really lost that much, and he's able to, you know, he only lost 2 Zerglings. And yeah, he had to make a few more Lings than usual, but his third base came up pretty quickly as well. And soO's going to go Roachron, and I genuinely do believe what he did in the last game of trying to bust through as a counterattack to the Proxy Rax Reaper is a good idea. Now, it's a bit worse this time for the simple fact these racks are already at home, so unit production continues immediately if you would like it to. And also, look at this, the Fusion Core already on the way up from TY as well. So he's going to be going in towards a battle cruiser. Obviously, a BC doesn't instantly shut this down because it takes time for the BC to get all the kills that it needs. It is something to somewhat watch out for, as these couple Hellions and these Reapers coming back down through the center of the map. Roachron going to be finishing up, the extra Overlord still building. And a few extra Roaches and a Queen coming into play as well. And again, it's a good amount of Reapers and Hellions from TY. Starting to move across to the upper left-hand side. soO will send some Zerglings down the right and in towards the natural, which is going to be fully walled off. So immediately here, these Lings won't do much. I mean, maybe pull back the Reaper Hellion. So actually, that does give you time to get these Roaches coming across the map without TY really realizing it, right? So less time to prepare and set up against it. The Zerglings don't go down either, so he's doing a good job of this altogether as Roaches and Ravagers. I mean, first couple of Ravagers morphing in, and TY will see the Roaches now. Here's the thing with the Reapers and Grenades. You can buy some time here that you wouldn't usually be able to get. You know, grenading this army and making it split away and kind of dodge a couple shots, etc. Like this one, right? It's a few extra seconds you're buying for yourself, and every few seconds now is a step closer towards this battle cruiser and a step closer towards bunkers to help you hold this incoming attack. So soO continuing to rally down to the bottom side of the map. Roaches and these Ravagers. I kind of feel like TY is going to have a defense, though, because the time he's bought the BC being here, yeah, he's got a little bit of extra time to buy, but he's got the Hellions still alive nicely to deal with the Zerglings that will be running in. He keeps building Hellions. The Reaper's actually a really nice little bit of damage output that will help as well. And here's the BC. He can start to target down these Ravagers, which means that once this set of corrosive bowels is off, this bunker will not take another hit like it. Oh, he stops repairing the bunker, though. That's a big mistake. That shouldn't have been any sort of stopped repairing. If he keeps repairing that, he actually run out of money, I think. If he keeps repairing, he doesn't lose this bunker, and this is a little bit easier, because those Marines inside do add a lot of extra damage, but you can just see anyways, these Ravagers going down, these Zerglings still in a lot of trouble. I just didn't feel like at any point of this time around did TY really look troubled. Like, last game there really was an opportunity and TY didn't know what was up or what was going on. This game that wasn't really there. So yeah, TY now going to be attacking with the BC. Spore Crawlers aren't ready just yet. I mean, a couple of them finishing up now, but these Queens already having to trade out their transfusions. If TY exits via the third, you can take some damage from this Spore Crawler, because you're going to get a bunch of drones while you run this way. So that's fine. Takes a couple more drones down. 5 workers killed. Hellions in the center need a kite, but they will be able to get rid of these Zerglings, and obviously that takes away everything that soO has on the map in terms of his army. He has a couple of Roaches building, but these Reapers and Hellions should be able to get across and at least find some mineral line to run into. In fact, there's so many more Hellions here. Might be keeping these back in case of a run by, but there's no need, because you actually just killed off the entire, the entire Zergling count, and you should know that, right? You should know there's very unlikely to be other Zerglings coming through. So yeah, those Hellions should be able to go join up. Second BC moving onto the map, and soO is not, he just started his lair. There's going to be 3 battle cruisers on the map before there's a Spire finished. It's going to be so tough for soO. This attack did not work, and it's designed as an all-in for a reason. And he just really didn't do any damage. You know, he killed 2 SCVs this game. You can see the resources lost as well. It's been an incredible hold from TY. As, yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say about it, guys. He's even got an armory here, so this is not just Hellions anymore. This is actually just straight up Hellbats. The BC's arguably a little late to this fight and could have been doing a little bit more already, but he's even got SCVs pulled in, which if you can repair these SCVs and keep them alive, these BCs aren't going to die. Like, it's just as simple as that. And the BCs might just be able to protect themselves for now because it's only really queens left over. I mean, soO has done a good job kiting back against those Hellbats and minimizing the losses. This is a pretty high energy queen there. Hellbats now in the mineral line. Drones are going to start dropping. The Spore Crawler will go down too, so now the BCs just own the natural expansion. Another high energy queen going down. These drones have nowhere to go to. Where, you know, try and find a way out of this. BCs get a new queen that pops out. Units still reinforced and may want to pull those back now because the roaches are coming out. We'll start to deal with them. But look at the worker damage. 13, 14 workers down. That said, soO droned massively behind this, so he is on 58 workers against 47 SCVs still. Yamato's lining up onto the Spore Crawler. Get rid of that. The queen's being chased again. Now, there's just no queens left over as well, right? And you can do so much more here with these battle cruisers. Remember, there's another battle cruiser already finished, and that one's already targeting down some roaches. Did he teleport that back home? Yeah, he's teleported back home to intercept the roaches that keep moving through. And TY has a third CC behind all of this now as well, as we do just have our BC is still pressing in. These couple of queens will be taken down also. First BC teleports. This queen runs behind the back of the mineral line here, and I mean, this is pretty much just coming to a close, right? TY, he's down on supply, but his setup is so good. He'll have 4 BCs against a Spire still building, and that's so frustrating because by the time soO can afford like 8 Corruptors, BCs are going to kill 4 of them instantly. You know, it's just going to be a ridiculous BC count here, and I think behind this, you actually maybe even keep building battle cruisers. I think going up to 5, 6 is really not a bad idea when you've got this much momentum on your side, because the Yamato cannons really do such an amazing job of resetting the count of your opponent's counter to this. So yeah, this is pretty rough, and TY looking like he may make it a TvT against Clem in the next round of this event. Of course, that is played pretty much straight afterwards here. We go pretty much straight into that. Not really any delays at all, so if you're looking for more StarCraft, stick around. We've got you guys covered today. We really, really do. As these few roaches of soO down the right side, going in towards this mineral line. SCVs and mules laid bare to be sniped. You'll see the rest of our BCs coming in. Going to see this Overlord going down, and well, again, Spire's not ready yet, so these BCs, they might just Yamato the queens initially. They're going to Yamato some of the high energy queens, and it just makes this a fight that you can win so much more easily, right? I mean, there's going to be an easy win in the fight anyways, but now you're killing off this natural hatchery. That's genuinely going to die here. 9 Corruptors on the way up. There's teleports available. This is the only BC that really needs to be cautious, though. The other BCs should be able to teleport away in plenty of time. He'll kill the 4th base as he exits as well, so he is being careful too. And I mean, just picking up amazing damage while doing it, and now you're starting to see that supply advantage of TY shining through. 120 to 103. And this realistically should just be getting better. Even teleports the BCs back to clean up this Overlord super quickly. And soO's going to type GG because you're going up against a 4-base Terran on 2 bases of your own. TY is going to close this out 3-2. GG's and well.